This here is the Positive Grid Spark Mini, the latest addition to Positive Grid's product lineup. If you're familiar with Positive Grid Spark 40, then you'll know just how versatile and fun the original version of this amp is, and it's well and truly become one of the best-selling practice amps that you can get. The smart app that they've built around this amp is just great, and as a result, dialing in tones is really simple and intuitive, and jamming along with backing tracks is just a couple of taps away. In this video, I'm going to be doing a full review of the Spark Mini. I'm going to be running you through the features, and I'll be also comparing the Spark Mini with the original Spark 40 amp. I'll talk about how I've personally been using it, and we'll end with my final thoughts and who I think this amp is right for. So first up, let's talk about what you get in the box and the specs and features of the Spark Mini. Out of the box, you'll get a quick start guide, the Spark Mini, a carry strap, and a USB cable. Now the Spark Mini takes all the same great smart features and tones of the original and squeezes it into this tiny package. The size of the Spark Mini is small enough to fit in any backpack, and you can think of the Spark Mini as the Spark 40's mini-me. The huge feature addition to Spark Mini, I think, is that it's powered by a rechargeable internal battery, so you can take this anywhere you want to play. Think of it like a wireless Bluetooth speaker, like a UE Boom or a JBL speaker, but one where you can also plug your guitar in for sweet tones. Now, Positive Grid claims that you can get up to 8 hours of playtime, and in my testing, I found this to be the case more or less. It takes 3 hours to fully charge the battery, and it's compatible with most mobile device USB chargers. From a software standpoint, the Spark Mini can do everything that the Spark 40 can, and uses the exact same app as well. So you have access to all the same tones, all your preset tones, smart jam, auto chords. Now what you are giving up in return for the portability and smaller size and footprint of the Mini is volume. It has a smaller speaker system and less physical controls as well. Now the Mini is classed as a 10-watt amplifier, and it features two 2-inch stereo speakers and a passive radiator at the bottom that really drives the low end. The Spark Mini also features a removable grill so that you can change the look of your amp. You can simply pry out the grill with a guitar pick like that, and you can see the speakers there on the inside, the two 2-inch speakers. Now I think this is probably an idea that they pinched from seeing Spark 40 users upgrade their Spark 40s with custom-made DIY grills, but they've made it a feature here on the Spark Mini, an easy to remove grill. If you want to use the Spark Mini to record guitars at home, then you can absolutely do that as well. Just plug the device in via a USB cable, and the Spark Mini will then function as an audio interface for you to record guitar into the digital audio workstation of your choice. As I mentioned before, due to the size of the amp, you get a very limited number of physical controls. So let's take a look at the top panel. From right to left, we have the 1/4-inch input jack, a music volume control, a guitar volume control, and a tone preset selector that can toggle between 4 presets. Above the preset knob, we have the power and Bluetooth indicator lights. On the back of the amp, from right to left, we have the power button, we have the Bluetooth pairing button, the USB-C port for charging the amp, a 3.5mm aux in, and a 3.5mm headphone or line out jack. If you hold the pair button, you'll activate the inbuilt tuner, which uses the preset lights to guide your tuning. With only 4 preset lights, it's a little hard to gauge how accurate the tuner actually is, but you're essentially aiming to get the 2 lights in the middle to show up. Tap the pair button once more to exit the tuner mode. Let's quickly take a listen to the 4 preset tones that come pre-installed on the amp. To customize your own tone, it's as simple as pairing the amp to the Spark app and then tweaking your amp and effects chain as you please. There's about 33 amp models and 43 different effects to choose from, so almost any tone that you're after, you can dial it in. Obviously, the biggest downside to the Spark Mini is that you can't tweak anything about your guitar tone without the Smart app. I didn't really find this to be a massive inconvenience though, as personally when I use the Spark 40, I would usually just use the app anyway instead of the physical controls. I'll now just quickly run you through a couple of the smart features. If you already own a Spark 40, then none of this will be new to you. So let's start with auto chords. Now, if you go into the music tab here, you can search for any song that you kind of want to jam to. So let's just go Save Tonight. And what will happen is the song will play and the Spark app software will automatically try to detect the chord progression of the song and show it to you in real time. And this is quite handy if you want to improvise or you just want to strum the same chords along to the song. Now let's check out Smart Jam on the Spark app. So with Smart Jam, you can start playing along with a backing track right away. So there's already 4 different genres here that you can pick from. So you got blues, funk, rock, pop. So let's say you just want a blues backing track. You can tap that and it will instantly just give you a blues track. Now it does sound pretty artificial, but it's good enough to play along with. And you can also see the chords on screen as well, so that will help you along with your jam. If you don't like the backing track that's been thrown at you, then you can just tap right or left and it'll create a different backing track for you. You can change the settings of the backing track as well by tapping the top right hand corner and either taking down the tempo or transposing to a different key if you like the vibe. Let's say you got your own chord progression though and you want to create your own jam, then you can just tap create a Smart Jam. Let's jam, tap out the tempo, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and play your riff or chord progression. And then it'll compose a Smart Jam for you. Okay, so now let's compare the Spark Mini alongside the Spark 40. From a feature standpoint, you get all the same 33 amps and 43 effects to choose from. All the same smart app features, audio Bluetooth on both for streaming music from your device. Both also work with the Positive Grid Spark Control foot switch. The Spark 40 is a 40 watt amp with 2 4-inch speakers, and the Mini is a 10 watt amp with 2 2-inch speakers and a passive radiator. The Spark 40 has no internal battery and is powered with a power adapter. The Spark Mini has an internal lithium battery. The Spark 40 has a full top panel where you can tweak your gain, volume, EQ, modulation, reverb, and effects levels manually and access presets, whereas the Spark Mini has a minimalistic top panel where you can only adjust the music volume, the guitar volume, and select from one of 4 presets. So those are the main differences and similarities. Let's take a listen to them side by side using the exact same presets. Now, obviously I've tried to mic the amps to give the best representation of their sound, but overall, comparing the sound of the Spark 40 to the Mini, I think the Mini actually has a little bit more clarity in my opinion, a little bit less low end than the original Spark 40, and it's a little less muddy in that low end region. Having said that, the Spark Mini is nowhere near as loud as the Spark 40. So where the Spark 40 can sometimes be used in situations as an amp for performing, the Spark Mini is strictly a practice amp and it can't do any of that in my opinion. Where it really fails is when you try to push the volume to the upper limits. I noticed that at these higher volumes, the speakers started distorting and clipping, which is a little bit annoying. So here's an example of the speakers breaking up. I've got a pretty decent volume here already. But if I push that pretty hard, you can hear that crackling. I'll push it even further. So how have I been personally utilizing the Spark Mini into my everyday life? Well, I have the Spark on my bedside table and I've been using it to play and practice before bed most nights, which has been a real change for me as usually I just play acoustic guitar before bed as it's just a low fuss way of practicing. I'm also using the X5 wireless system to make things even more convenient. So my setup has absolutely no cables or fuss, which has been really great, meaning that I just have two pieces of gear effectively, just the amp and the guitar. And it makes everything super easy to move around the house or to take this setup anywhere I want to go. I'll leave a link in the description to the wireless system that I've been using. So overall, yes, I've absolutely been thrilled with the Spark Mini. I think a good piece of guitar gear is one that encourages and inspires you to play more, and this has certainly done that for me, in my case anyway. So should you buy the Spark Mini or should you buy the Spark 40? Now, considering that it's almost at the same price as the Spark 40, I would say it really depends on your playing habits, but also your volume needs. If you are someone that does use the top panel quite a lot and you want that tactile control over your tone and you want the ability to experience your guitar and your music at a really loud volume, then the Spark 40 is definitely more for you. However, if you're happy to use the Smart app in order to tweak all your tones and you just need a practice amp for more low volume scenarios, then I think the Spark Mini is a winner. For me, the fact that it has a built-in rechargeable battery is the winning factor here. And in my personal case, I would choose the Mini. I just love how easy it is to move around. I know that some Spark 40 users online have been using external batteries on the Spark 40, but I still think that in that scenario, moving it around to a picnic or around the house isn't as light and as easy as the Spark Mini. I don't think, for me, volume is really a deciding factor either. Yes, the Spark 40 does crank way louder, but if I want to be using the Spark in a rehearsal studio setting, then I'd probably just use the line output and route that to a PA system. I think the volume on the Spark Mini is more than loud enough for me when I play just before bed. But as I mentioned earlier on, when you do push it to the higher limits, it is a little annoying that the speakers start distorting a little bit. So anyway, there's my review of the Positive Grid Spark Mini. I think they've done a wonderful job with this product. If you got any questions, then leave them in the comments below. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Cheers.